Success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. Winston Churchill.
Most people think that to make a good documentary, you need a good, solid topic. You know, it makes sense, right? Well, that's wrong. Completely incorrect. What you need is the will to inform. Just the will to get up behind that camera and tell your story.
Documentary films are rapidly gaining mainstream popularity in the film industry. No longer restricted to public television, they are appearing everywhere, from streaming services to full-length features to even film festivals. In fact, if you were at one now, you would probably see that about 1 in every 7 films you were watching would be some variation of a documentary. Throughout the growth of this style of filmmaking, one man has been synonymous with the genre. That name is Ben Kearns. You may know his works such as Office War, Basketball, or Disco. Today, we will go beyond the man that everyone thinks they know and show you the man behind the camera. As a child, Ben Kearns was always seen as a storyteller. However, his stories were not always well received. As he grew into adolescence, Kearns attempted to express himself more effectively through the process of acting. It was then that he met his friend and mentor, Eric Werner. With the help of Werner, Ben's perspective and approach towards the art of storytelling evolved, but even he wasn't aware how much it would impact his future.
When I first met Ben, he came across as one of those people you would find an excuse to leave when you first met him. But the more I listened to him, the more I started to understand the passion that he felt when he was telling a story about something. The stories themselves weren't interesting, but you can tell that it wasn't the content that he cared about, but the act of telling of the story that he loved.
With the advice of his new partner, Ben began telling his stories through film, but his first few attempts failed to make any headway in his career. It wasn't until the summer of 1998 that he had a breakthrough. While filming one of his projects, he noticed his film crew on his latest work had a life of their own. An idea formed, and he quickly hired a new crew to film his existing crew while they were working. The result was groundbreaking. Soon after, the artist gained industry recognition as a true documentarian.
I remember watching Documentarian for the first time when I was working on one of my own films. I recall being blown away by the style that he portrayed his crew. From that day forward, he has changed the way I interact with my own crew, and they're now part of my family.
With the success of the film Documentary, Ben's next project found him following various bands on tour, but not for the music. He was telling the story of the life on the road for a roadie, as he calls the backbone of every performer. After that, he moved on to other films such as The Art of the Theft, Food Fight, and Tabletop. He's even tried his hand at reality television.
During the filming of Real Housewives of Knoxville, Ben also wanted to film The Real Husbands of Knoxville. I think the idea would have taken off, but the Housewives got canceled before it ever started. Therefore, the series was also scrapped.
Kearns' most recent project, Anti-Social Media, is currently under production. It is the story behind Mark Thomas, who is the creator of the popular app Snapface, where you can upload pictures of yourself and what you're doing, and it doesn't get shared to any other people.
It's great working with someone like Ben. My privacy is really important to me, and Ben understands that.
His adaptive nature in this ever-changing industry is what keeps him on top as a filmmaker.
You know, Joseph Campbell, I believe, said that there are only 6 stories that have ever been written. I want to be the guy that writes the story about the story that is being written by somebody completely different.
Ben Kearns' story is one of failure to triumph. Through persistence, support, and a whole lot of imagination, he created his own legacy that impacted all of our lives.